Hello everyone, a very pleasant day to you. Here are the top stories these are. Will defeat terrorism. President Bola Tinubu responds to Trump's threat. Federal government under fire for snubbing Christian who topped permanent secretary interview. On the foreign scene, Donald Trump hints at Indian visit amid high-stakes trade deal talks. A very good day to you and welcome to First News Port Harcourt. I am Becky Usoro. Now the news in details. President Bola Tinubu has restated that although the task ahead is immense, his administration will defeat terrorism. Amid growing public concern and recent warnings issued by United States President Donald Trump, speaking at a Federal Executive Council meeting held at the presidential villa on Thursday, Tinubu said his government would continue to prioritize diplomatic engagement as part of its broader strategy to address insecurity and maintain national stability. The special advisor to the president on media and public communications, Sunday Dare, who shared excerpts of the remarks, noted that Tinubu's comments were also a direct response to Trump's recent warnings about Nigeria's internal security situation. Despite the political headwinds and the fear of our people, we continue to engage our partners. We are engaging the world diplomatically. I assure you all that it will defeat terrorism, Tinubu said. He added that administration's foreign policy direction is guided by the renewed hope agenda, which seeks to strengthen Nigeria's global standing and foster national development through cooperation and peace building. The task ahead is to move forward with clarity and purpose guided by the renewed hope agenda to build a prosperous Nigeria. Recall that Trump had earlier classified Nigeria as a country of particular concern, and in a video message on Wednesday accused radical Islamists of carrying out widespread attacks on Christians, warning that the United States may intervene if the Nigerian government fails to curb the violence.
The task ahead is immense. We are engaging the world diplomatically, and we assure all of you that we will, defeat terrorism in this country. The task ahead is immense, but it's our resolve to move forward with unity and purpose guided by renewed hope agenda to build a prosperous, inclusive, and resilient Nigeria.
You are listening to news on First News Port Harcourt. Let's go for a short break. When we return to bring to you more details as the federal government is under fire for snubbing Christian who topped permanent secretary interview. On the foreign scene, Donald Trump hints at Indian visit amid high-stakes trade deal talks. Please stay with us. Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, you're listening to news on First News Port Harcourt. We now bring you the rest of the news. A coalition of northern clerics has accused the federal government of religious bias in the appointment of the new permanent secretaries, alleging that a Christian candidate who scored 83% in the recent election interview was sidelined for a Muslim counterpart who scored 54%. The allegation was made by the Arewa Christians and Indigenous Pastors Association, ASIPA, in an open letter addressed to President Bola Tinubu, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, the Minister of Justice, and the leadership of the National Assembly. The statement dated November 6, 2025 was signed by Reverend Dr. Luke Shehu, chairman of the ASIPA. He said it was deeply troubled by what it described as another case of religious persecution against Northern Christians in the civil service, noting that the decision mocked merit and fairness in federal appointments. Our attention has been drawn to yet another persecution against a Northern Christian with regards to the right to the position of Federal Permanent Secretary following the recent interview, Shehu said. The group said the case highlighted a pattern of marginalization that had persisted for years, especially against Christians in the northern parts of the country. It argued that despite repeated denials, the evidence of discrimination is recruitment, scholarships, and promotions remain glaring. Citing the outcome of the recent interview for permanent secretaries, the group said the top-scoring candidate, a Christian from the Northeast, was unfairly dropped, while Mohammed Musa Isiyaku, who scored 54% and ranked 5th, was announced as a permanent secretary by the Office of the Head of Civil Service of Federation on November 4, 2025. The association said it was aware of plans to proceed with the swearing-in of the lower-ranked candidates and urged the government to halt the process immediately. Reverend Shehu said the group's stance was not driven by confrontation, but by its commitment to fairness, justice, and the protection of all Nigerians irrespective of faith. True to our calling as advocates of peace, unity, social justice, and development, we are not only renouncing and rejecting the diversity and persecution, but we are calling on all concerned to correct this abnormality and travesty with immediate effect, he said. The group called on faith leaders, traditional rulers, and civil society advocates to speak up against what it described as a long-standing pattern of injustice, adding that silence in the face of persecution could further divide the country. We now move on to the foreign news. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Thursday that trade talks with India are going good and also hinted at a possible visit to the country next year. While speaking to reporters at White House press briefing, Trump called Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi a friend and a great man, and said India had largely stopped buying oil from Russia, a claim he has repeated in the past weeks. Trump has slapped India with 50% tariffs in August, including a 25% penalty for buying Russia oil and arms, while he says was funding Moscow's war with Ukraine, a charge Delhi denies. Trump's comments comes as Delhi and Washington are working to conclude a high-stakes trade deal this fall. His remarks come amid ongoing uncertainty about whether the president will join the Quad summit, which India is scheduled to host this year, although the exact dates for the 2025 summit have yet to be confirmed. That's all in the news this hour. We now bring you highlights of the top stories so far. We brought to you that President Bola Tinubu responds to Donald Trump's threats, we will defeat terrorism. We brought to you that the federal government is under fire for snubbing Christian who topped permanent secretary interview. And also on the foreign news, Donald Trump hints at Indian visit amid high-stakes trade deal talks. Do remember, democracy is the only system that persists in asking the powers that be whether they are the powers that ought to be. I am Becky Usoro from I and the entire team in Port Harcourt, Nigeria. Many thanks for watching. Bye for now.